Oh, we're taking a closer look at Proposition 50, the one statewide item on California's November ballot. What is at stake? Well, new congressional maps drawn by elected officials, a response to redistricting in Texas, and big questions of fairness, democracy, and power.
We're joined now by Brianna Lee, LAist civics and democracy engagement producer. That is quite a job these days, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about these maps and the proposed changes that would come with Prop 50.
Sure. So the new congressional maps that were being proposed under Prop 50 would change most California districts, actually.
Oh, really?
But it's not really so much about the boundaries changing. It's really about whether the change in the boundaries affects the political makeup of your district. And so that's what a lot of people are really looking at. Does your district change to the degree that, you know, the people voting along with you might vote for a different representative or somebody with different priorities or values? And so when it comes to that, there are maybe 5 districts in Southern California that would be the most heavily impacted. So either safe Republican districts could become more like swing districts.
Got it.
Or swing districts could become more leaning Democratic.
Okay. What are those of the 5? What are they?
So one of them is in northern LA County, so that's the area about Palmdale, Lancaster, that area. Another one is sort of southern LA County and Orange County, going from like Cerritos down to like Garden Grove. And the other one is coastal Orange County, that's District 47, I believe, so Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa.
Got it.
And then another is in San Diego, and another one's in Riverside County. So yeah, then the specific numbers and like their boundaries, we have a guide on our website, LAist.com/vote, and there's more specific maps and like what those boundaries look like.
Speaking of guides, this has all been, of course, very controversial. And this week, California voters were mailed inaccurate guides ahead of the special election, which mislabeled a congressional district. We understand this will be an expensive fix for taxpayers. Is it even worth it to fix?
Well, I think any mistake that has to be, that is in the state voter information guide, you know, nobody wants voters to be confused for any reason. And so they are, my understanding is that the Secretary of State is mailing out postcards that will have the correct information on it. So it's not going to be an entirely new guide, but postcards saying that, you know, this is actually the correct information on there. But yes, it was one statewide map of the proposed congressional districts, and one of the districts had a typo. It was labeled an incorrect district, and it was supposed to be another one.
I think it was 22 and it was labeled 27 or vice versa, something like that.
Right.
But can you lay out the strongest arguments, both from supporters and opponents of Prop 50?
So supporters are essentially saying that, well, so Prop 50 came about as a response to something similar that was happening in Texas. So Texas passed new congressional maps outside the normal schedule with the encouragement of President Trump to benefit Republicans in the House elections next year. And so the argument from supporters is saying that, you know, we're already on an uneven playing field when it comes to next year's congressional elections. If California doesn't act, this is a necessary move in order to level that playing field, and it wouldn't have happened if Texas hadn't done it first. And so they're arguing that this is basically the only and necessary move in order to prevent next year's elections from being tilted in Republicans' favor. And so Prop 50 was a move to neutralize what was going on in Texas. The no camp, for the most part, is saying that, you know, this is gerrymandering in both cases, and gerrymandering is wrong no matter what state does it. And, you know, voters passed the independent congressional redistricting system that we have. It's in the state constitution. They passed it in 2008, and moving away from that is just moving in the wrong direction. So that's what you're hearing a lot from the no campaign. Okay, so if someone lives in one of these districts that could possibly change, what should they do to find out more information about that?
Sounds like your guide.
That's definitely something that I would recommend. So our guide, it's on LAist.com/vote. There is a map that was actually made by our partners at Cal Matters, where you can put in your address and see what your current district is and what the proposed changes look like. And so there you can kind of figure out, my district is not changing at all. So that's something interesting that I learned. But you can see, you know, where the new boundaries does the political makeup, and that's based on sort of registered party registration in that district. Does that change? How much does it change? How many points more is it going to be Democratic or Republican?
So what I find interesting about all of this is that, do people care? Like, are people invested in this right now?
I have found that, yeah, I mean, at least anecdotally, I mean, I am a civics and democracy producer, so this is the conversations I have all the time.
These are the dinner party conversations you're having.
But I find that they are really interested, and I think it's like once you get past the word redistricting, that tends to make people's eyes glaze over. But once you kind of get into, this is really the basis of the system that determines whether you are being fairly represented in government. And you can think of that on a state level, you can think of that at a national level, but no matter how you're thinking of it, this is something that affects your representation. I think once you get to that level of it, people are very interested in making sure that the system that they have is fair, and trust in the system is what this is about.
Well, that's why what you do is important, so people understand how it impacts them, because you're right, sometimes we get lost in the big words and the politics of it, but it impacts all of us. Brianna, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, appreciate it.
For a link to the LAist voter guide, just where you can find out more about Prop 50, you can check out our website, kcalnews.com, and click Seen on TV.
Okay.